Palissa għaw Malta għaw il-mezzo-sopran Sophia Grech, mezzo-sopran ta' dixxendenza Maltija li edha maħna li ħankunu qed nitkellmu fuq diversi affarijiet għal propju għal newsbook.com.mt. Sophia, how are you?
Oh, fine, thank
Sophie.
you. Thank you.
Sophie or Sophia?
Sophia.
Sophia,
yeah,
okay. What brings you to Malta?
Okay, so I'm delighted to be here. I haven't been here for a few years, so it's lovely to be back. And I'm here to help the charity Aid to the Church in Need, because we're going to be doing a fundraising concert this Saturday, basically raising money for Ukraine. Obviously, the Ukrainian situation is, as we all know, is absolutely terrible. So, and funds are running low. So we really need to raise as much money as we can now to help.
So what are we going to expect from this concert, and where it's going to be held, and how can our viewers attend this concert?
So the concert is at the Imperial in Salima, and it starts with Mass at 4 o'clock, and then it's lovely because they're having afternoon tea at 5 o'clock, and then we have the concert at 5:30. And you can get tickets from Aid to the Church in Need. Also, if you can't make the concert, then you can donate to the charity, and all the funds will be going towards Ukraine.
When they approached you to participate in this concert, what was your first reaction?
Well, I was thinking about doing something anyway, because I hadn't done any fundraising for Ukraine at all. And a lot of my colleagues were doing concerts and things. So I thought, I really want to do something. So when I was approached, I thought, this is absolutely wonderful. And I was delighted to give my time to do this.
It's quite interesting, but you don't speak Maltese.
No.
But you did sing Maltese.
I did, yes. So I recorded a whole CD of Maltese songs. And they were released in 2004. And the CD was written by Charles Camilleri. And it was so much fun for me, because obviously I don't speak Maltese. So I had to learn all these songs. And it was hard, because the language is quite difficult if you don't speak it. But I managed, and it was a great success, and I recorded it, and it was great fun.
But when they told you to do this project in Maltese, obviously you didn't know Maltese, and you were saying that it was difficult, but how much big of a challenge was the whole project?
Well, for me as an opera singer, because I sing in so many languages, it was, if you like, it was like, it's just another language that now I have to learn. So in that respect, it was, because it's just to do with the sounds, getting the right sounds. If you were learning it to speak it, I think it's much harder. However, it was a bit more challenging than I thought, because I was hoping it might be a little bit Italian sounding, but no, it's not. So it was quite challenging, but it was enjoyable.
In 2015, I think, you were diagnosed with autism.
Yes.
When you got the news, did you realize, because it was quite at a later stage in your life that you were diagnosed with it?
Absolutely. You know, it's really hard, because I've had such a massive career, like an international career for nearly 30 years. And to do all that, and to know I had some challenges, but just didn't know why. So when I was diagnosed, although I say it wasn't a surprise, because I thought there was something might have been wrong, it was still such a shock. And I just remember being completely speechless, and I could hardly talk. And then I thought, actually, this is really good, because now I understand why my life has been the way it has, and all the challenges that I've had to face, especially growing up as a child. So it was almost like a eureka moment for me.
But you're saying the challenges you had growing up.
Yeah.
At that time, autism wasn't particularly discussed.
No, it wasn't at all. It wasn't even a subject, certainly not in the UK. So they thought that there was something wrong with me, but they obviously didn't know what it was. And I had special education, you know, to learn to read and write, which I struggled to do. And I mean, I couldn't even tell the time until I was 12. So it was, I think if I'd been diagnosed when I was younger, I'd have had the help that I needed. But because it wasn't even a subject then, there's nothing they could do.
But despite the difficulties, you managed to live your dream.
Yes, because it's what we call like a learnt behaviour. So I taught myself. So I learnt that, for example, when the corners of your mouth go up, that's smiling, and that means that person's happy, because that doesn't really mean anything to me. I can't understand facial expressions very well, but I've learnt that. So literally everything I've learnt is just because I've imitated people in a way. So, and I think a lot of autistic people, especially adults, have learnt in their lives, if you imitate, that's how you can learn.
And when you said you're learning, and you got your first break in the industry, how did it feel, knowing the difficulties you've been through and yet not having been diagnosed at that point? Yeah,
it was amazing. It was quite stressful for me because I think my first break, it was either the Royal Albert Hall or the Royal Festival Hall. I'm not sure which one. I can't remember. But, you know, it was... I say it's stressful. It's not the singing. That's not stressful. And the whole music part, not stressful at all. It was just negotiating, getting there and speaking to people and the stage direction and that type of thing. That's what was difficult. But like I say, through learnt behaviour, I managed to work it out. And I got used to doing it. But what was hard was that I didn't want a career where I had to fly all over the world because I was too terrified of that. And I remember when I was a student at the Royal College of Music actually asking a professor there, is it possible to have a career where I only stay in the UK? And bless her, she said to me, with a voice like yours, my dear, you better get used to flying. And I thought that was so lovely, but at the same time, I was terrified. And she was right, because literally after I think I'd done a Royal Festival Hall in my early 20s, and soon after I was invited to do, I think it might have been Barcelona International Festival maybe, and obviously I had to fly, and it was the first time I'd flown abroad for singing, and I had a really bad time on the plane, and the captain of the plane actually invited me to sit in the cockpit. You wouldn't get that now, would you? No. But that was the only time that I struggled, was that one flight, and since then I've flown all over the world. I mean, literally at one point I was taking maybe 2 flights in a week. I could literally sing in America, have to fly back to London to do another concert, and then be on a plane going to Spain. It was so busy, and I got so used to that, and I was absolutely fine.
And being autistic doesn't stop you from doing these things, like?
No, absolutely not. There's a lot of autistic youngsters out there, and parents with autistic children, and they think that their child might not ever amount to very much. Well, I say to them, you know, just look at me, look at what I've achieved, because my career has been so big, and I've travelled so much, and I've worked with so many different people, and, you know, for example, I've sung for the Queen Mother, and I've sung quite recently at Prince Charles's house, and I've mixed with ambassadors and presidents, and it hasn't stopped me, the fact that I'm autistic. A lot of autistic people have amazing talents.
You have amazing talents, but you also represent autistic people. You're the ambassador.
Yes. So I'm an ambassador for various associated organisations. One of them in the UK that I'm particularly fond of is Autism Unlimited, and I speak on behalf of them. For example, I recently I was very honoured to open a new diagnosis centre in the UK, because the waiting time in the United Kingdom is about 3 years. However, this new diagnosis centre is groundbreaking, if you like, and it's cutting the waiting time down to maybe a month or 2 months. So it's just fantastic, and we just need more of that. We need more of that. Also, you know, there's a lot of autistic adults out there who haven't been diagnosed and they don't know they have it. And I have to say, especially women, because women are very good at hiding it, which is why in the UK, men outnumber autistic women 10 to 4. We almost appear like we don't have it. We're very good at disguising it, which actually makes us very hard to diagnose, which is why the diagnosis process for women, it can be very long. It was 4 months for me. 4 months of seeing clinical psychologists and autism experts. And each session I had with them was a good 1 to 2 hours. So you have to be absolutely sure you have it. Yeah. But I mean, looking at me now, you think I don't really look very autistic. Well, not look, we don't have a look, but that I don't appear very autistic. But as a child, I was typically autistic. Didn't communicate very well, didn't socialise.
But you managed to overcome it.
I absolutely, yes.
And singing probably has helped
you.
you.
My singing absolutely has helped me. You know, a lot of autistic people have a gift for something, whether it be maths or cookery or gardening. And you need to, if you have an autistic friend or a child who has autism, you must let them fulfill that, or almost an obsession that they have with a particular thing. Because they get really good at it. Have you ever met an autistic gardener? Wow, they're an encyclopedia of knowledge. Yeah. Yes.
It's quite interesting what you're saying. But now, so we're about to conclude. What are your plans? What's next for Sophia?
So I'd have liked to have stayed in Malta a bit longer, but I have to go back because I have a concert in London. And then I have to go to Germany because I'm preparing for, I've got a European tour coming. So I'm busy in rehearsals for that. So there's lots going on. And my book, because I wrote a book about singing. And so I'm busy with that, book promotions and book signings and things as well. So
what's the name of the book? Oh,
the book's called I Wish I Could Sing. And it's literally just for anybody to learn to sing. It's so simple. It's just, you put your favourite CD on and sing along, follow what I say in the book, and you will be so surprised at how your talent will shine.
Sophie, thank you very much for your time. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.